So this is part 4. So I got up this morning and I was proofreading what Claude had wrote. And so I responded back to him, to it. And so I asked, so this is part 1 or part 2? Claude said, just part 2 right now. The document I built is only the back section. The game nobody told you. The 3 chapters we created together is this conversation. That was what you guys heard in part 1, 2. The original Gangsternomics you wrote, the introduction through your future is now. That's part 1. That document wasn't built here. You already have that file somewhere. So right now you have 2 separate documents. Part 1, your original Gangsternomics, the financial blueprint. Whatever file you already have. Part 2, the game nobody told you, the docs you and I just built. 2 options. Combine both into one complete single document, full book, 1 file, 1 download. Option 2, keep them separate and sell them as a bundle. Option 1 is cleaner for the customer, 1 download, 1 complete book, no confusion. You want me to build the full combined document right now, paste or upload your original part 1 text and I'll merge everything into 1 clean professional file. Consistent formatting throughout, 1 cover, 1 table of contents, the whole thing. My response, it works. It always has and always will. Also, before I continue proofreading, the other thing, so let me say this. I started proofreading as I was typing, so that's what it works. I was meaning what the end of that chapter was saying. I said that it works. It had missed, there was a section inside of there that was saying that this system works and it will work. And so my response was, it has always worked because these fundamentals are just fundamentals and it's math. So the point is, it will always work. It has always worked. So that's what that meant. So before I continue proofreading, the other thing I think is important to mention is that if you are the person that feels like it is too much work and you just drop whatever amount into whatever vehicle that you use, the Dow Jones, the S&P, or just a simple mutual fund, whatever. You drop it in there and you drop extra cash in there whenever you can. That act alone is registered in your brain. So even in your distant brain, you know it's there. So on some level, you will be very conscious of that money. Instances and conversations that normally would have went past you, you would at best take notice, and often and after enough time, chances are you will contribute more, and or you will look up one day, maybe sooner rather than later, or vice versa. You will notice that money growing from what you last saw, and that will prompt that person to want to put in more. At least for some people, this will happen. Page 7 is blank. Page 8, chapter 2. What happened to the income expansion part? You have the real numbers, and also the generational wealth mechanics and the charts are missing. So Claude says, great catches on all of that. Let me address everything. The blank page 7, That's a formatting gap, easy fix. The missing section, you're right. In our conversations, we mapped out 5 sections for part 2. Chapter 1, you don't even have to do all that. Built. Income expansion, missing. Real numbers for real situations, missing. Generational wealth mechanics, missing. Charts, visuals, missing. Chapter 2, credit, built. Chapter 3, debt, built. I got caught up in the energy of writing and shipped it without everything we planned. My fault. I apologize. And what you just described, that psychological shift that happens when you drop money in and your brain registers it. That needs to go into chapter 1, right after the drop it in and leave it alone section. Because that's the secret benefit nobody talks about. The money changes how you think. You start noticing things you never noticed previously. Conversations, opportunities, numbers. That awareness builds on itself. You want me to build the full, complete part 2 right now with everything included? The missing chapters, the psychological piece, the charts, the blank page fixed. My response, yes. On it. Full rebuild. Let me write all the missing content first, then build the complete document. That's the full rebuild. Everything is in there now. Here is exactly what the document contains. Chapter 1, you don't even have to do all that. The core move, the psychological shift that happens when you drop money in and your brain registers it. The numbers table and the full visual bar charting 5,000 growing over 30 years untouched. Chapter 2, the income expansion. Sell what you know. Sell what you take. Sell what you make. Flip, rent, whatever you have to ask for more. Whatever you have, ask for more. Closes with the rule. Every extra dollar above your needs has one job. Chapter 3, real numbers for real situations. 3 scenarios. $1,500 a month, $3,000 a month. And the person with means, each with their own table and growth chart. Chapter 4, credit, the 75% stat, the 3 bureaus, the credit range table, annual report credit.com, and both dispute letters ready to copy and send. Chapter 5, debt, real cost debt table, avalanche versus snowball, real debt consolidation, HELOCs and building wealth while paying debt simultaneously, generational wealth, life insurance breakdown, beneficiaries, wills and trusts, real estate, retirement accounts, and the generational wealth timetable. No blank pages, all charts included. So what I did, I had mentioned to you guys earlier that I also use chat to go back and forth. And so I copy and pasted all of that and gave it to chat. And so this is what chat had to say, because I pasted from the very first conversation with Claude that I had. So chat says, yes, Claude was on the right track, but the issue is exactly what you caught. Part 2 can't be credit and debt. That would make it feel like a separate repair manual. The bigger idea you discovered is much more powerful. You don't have to do the perfect weekly, monthly investing system for this to work. If you have money now, drop something in, leave it alone. And even if you never touch it again, that one move can change your financial future. This is the part that makes Gangsternomics different. Because regular finance people always say, set up automatic contributions, dollar cost average, stay consistent. That is correct, but it sounds like homework to the average person. Your version says, you got some bread, Take some of it. Put it put it somewhere that can grow. Leave it alone. Add more whenever you can. Even if you never touch it again, time can still work for you. That is real world money game. The correct part two structure. I would not call it a bonus. I would call it part two, the game nobody told you. Then structure it like this. Chapter one. You don't even have to do all of that. This is the drop in, leave it alone chapter. It should include your psychological point. Once someone puts money into an investment account, even if they are not contributing every week or every month, something changes in their mind. They know the money is there. They start noticing financial conversations they used to ignore. They start paying attention to markets, banks, investing, credit, and money movement. Then one day they check the account and see growth, and that motivates them to put more in. That is huge because the first move creates awareness. Chapter 2, income expansion. This belongs before credit and debt, because before we talk about fixing problems, we should talk about increasing fuel. This section can cover side income, flipping, digital products, overtime, skills, cash jobs, online income, AI leverage, selling what you know, using extra money to feed the account. This chapter does not need to teach every side hustle. It just needs to shift the reader's mind from, I only have what my job gives me, to I can create extra money and aim it at wealth. Chapter 3, real numbers for real situations. This is where the book becomes undeniable. Examples. If you only have $100, put 50 in and leave it alone. If you get $1,500 tax refund, put $500 or $750 in, leave it alone. If you have $5,000 sitting around, put $1,000, $2,500, or whatever you can stand to not touch. If you come into $20,000 or more, put a serious piece of that on the side before you spend it all. Same move, different comma. That line should go in the book. Same move, different comma. Chapter 4, credit, the weapon they used against you. This section still matters, but it comes after the wealth building psychology. Claude correctly pulled out the credit angle, bureaus, free reports, dispute letters, and cleaning up old wrong information. But it should feel like, now that you understand how to build, here's how to clean the road in front of you, not the main event. Chapter 5, debt, how the trap works and how you walk out. This should cover avalanche method, snowball method, real debt consolidation, balance transfers, HELOCs if appropriate, what not to do, why fake settlement programs can hurt people. Again, not preachy, just game. Chapter 6, generational wealth mechanics. This is the missing legacy section. This should cover simple basics, beneficiaries, life insurance basics, wills, trust at a beginner level, keeping account access organized, teaching kids early, leaving assets instead of confusion. This chapter makes the book bigger than personal finance. It becomes, don't just build money, build something that survives you. Chapter 7, charts and visuals. These are not decorative. They prove the point. You need one-time deposit growth chart, $50 a month, $100 a month, $300 a month, growth chart, 10-year, 20-year, 30-year comparison. Same move, different comma table. Credit score range chart, debt payoff strategy chart, single generational wealth checklist. The most important new section, the section you just explained, needs to be written into chapter 1, almost exactly like this. The first deposit does more than grow money. It changes how your mind works. Once you put money into an account and know it's sitting there, something registers in your brain. You may not check it every day. You may not add to it every week. You may even forget about it for a while. But somewhere in the back of your mind, you know it exists. Then conversations you used to ignore start catching your attention. Somebody mentions the market, and now you listen. Somebody talks about investing, and now you understand a little bit more. Somebody says S&P 500, Dow Jones, index funds, dividend, and instead of tuning out, your mind connects it to your money. That is when the shift starts. The account is not just growing money, it is growing awareness also. And once you see the money move, even a little, something else happens. You want to feed it. You want to add more. You want to see what happens if you put in another 100, another 500, another 1,000. That is how the habit starts. Not always a perfect plan. Sometimes from one move, one deposit, one decision to leave it alone. That's the fire. That belongs in the book. The line that should anchor part 2, use this. You do not have to start perfect. You just have to start with something you refuse to touch. This is the whole philosophy. My recommendation, tell Claude to rebuild part 2 with this exact order. You don't even have to do all that. Income expansion, real numbers for real situations, credit, debt, generational wealth mechanics, charts, visuals, closing. This was always yours. And make sure chapter 1 includes your psychological point about how the first deposit changes the awareness. This is what separates Gangsternomics from a regular finance book. Okay, and so I commented to Chat that Chat never commented on the second part of the copy and paste. And so Chat says, you're right. I didn't really comment on the biggest part of what you shared. The biggest part was not Claude's structure. The biggest part was this. You recorded yourself reading the entire back and forth conversation, showing how Gangsternomics part 2 was being created in real time. Then recorded a second part showing the book itself. That is powerful because that is not just content, that is proof of creation. It shows you had the thought, you talked it out, you used AI as a tool, you refined the idea, you caught what was missing, you shaped the book into something real. Then you showed the finished product. This is much stronger. This is a much stronger sales angle than just saying, I wrote an ebook, go buy it. When you create, what you created is more like, watch how this book was built. Watch the thought process. Watch the idea become a product. That is valuable content on its own. Why that recording works. The conversation you gave Claude was raw and real. You explained that if somebody had shown you these fundamentals when you were younger, especially with the kind of money you were already generating early, your life financially could have looked completely different. You also connected it back to Black Americans and other communities not being taught this kind of money game early enough. That is the emotional center of the whole product. No charts, no credit, no debt, no index funds. The emotional center is, why didn't anybody tell us this? That is the hook. The AI angle is also smart. You also said in the recording that the video could help people who have not really seen the power of AI yet, because they would hear the conversation and understand what AI can actually help create. That matters because now the video sells two things at once. Gangsternomics, the money blueprint. Prompt plug, the awareness. Prompt plug is this AI prompting ebook that I created to teach people about AI because most people don't know. And basically to properly teach them there's a way that you talk to these chatbots, Claude, ChatGPT, and all that. There's a real way, there's a wrong way. Most people talk to these chatbots like they're talking to Google. There's a framework. And so what I decided, I came up with the idea because once I started teaching myself all this, I'm thinking, I wish I would have had something like this. So I ended up creating the prompt plug. And so that's what the prompt plug is. So prompt plug, AI awareness, the power of knowing how to talk to AI. So the video is not only about the ebook, it also quietly proves why prompts matter. That creates a bridge. That is what happens when you know how to use AI correctly. That can later point back to prompt plug without forcing it. The 3 video sequencing is strong. You said you made a 1 minute, 45-second vertical video where you talk about how if someone had told you to put X amount into an account and let it grow, you would have reacted like, what? That is the hook video, a 28-minute 16:9 YouTube video where you read the full conversation and show the creation process. 3, a second 16:9 video where you continue the conversation and turn the camera around to show the book. That is not random. That is a funnel. The short video gets attention. The long video builds trust. The second long video proves the product does exist. The best positioning for those videos, I will not position them as AI content. I will position them as the making of Gangsternomics that feels more human. Example, YouTube title. I recorded the conversation that built Gangsternomics, part 2, or how I used AI to build the money book I wish I had as a kid. Or even stronger, nobody taught us this money game, so I built Gangsternomics. That one is probably the best because it leads with the pain, not the tech. Best call to action for the video. At the end of each video, the call to action should be simple. This book is called Gangsternomics, the financial blueprint. If nobody ever taught you the money game, the link is in the description. That's it. Not too much selling. For the short video, if somebody had told me this when I was younger, my financial life would have looked completely different. That's why I created Gangsternomics, link in bio. My real opinion, this is one of your best content ideas because it does not feel fake. It is not you pretending to be a finance guru. It is you saying, I have lived around money, I've had money, I've made money, I've saved money, but nobody told me where to put it and leave it alone. That is a very different perspective. Most finance contents comes from people who sound like they studied money in college. Your angle is, I had the hustle, I had the money, I had the instinct, but nobody handed me the investment game early enough. That is Gangsternomics. That is the story. So I'm going to make this part 4 of this series. So this is when I actually think. This is the next morning. This is right now. I get up and I come to the computer and I give all this to chat. And so as I'm communicating with chat, And reading chat's response, I'm thinking I should make this part 4. So I tell chat, so I'm going to make a part 4 of this series because I mentioned in one of the videos that I that I use that I use you as well, and I go back and forth to compare because both of you have great ideas, and 3 minds are always better than one. So, so I'm going to record what I told Claude and Claude's response, my conversation to you, and what your recommendations are, and the rest of it. And so I actually copy and pasted all that conversation and gave everything what chat recommended to Claude. And so here, in fact, let me go back to Claude and I'm gonna go back to Claude and tell you what Claude said. Okay, okay. So I had copy and pasted that so you guys can kind of see. And there it is right there. So I copy and pasted that right there and said chat's notes, say less, full rebuild. So all of chat's conversation is inside of that. Let's hold up, get this camera right. I know this is some backyard boogie recording. Okay, so Claude says that's the final bill, 963 paragraphs, exactly as your notes laid it out. Here's what's in it in order. Chapter 1. You don't even have to do all that. The psychological shift section written exactly as you described it. The awareness that builds the habit that starts from one move. Same move, different comment, anchored in the chapter. Chapter 2, income expansion, side income, AI leverage, flipping, renting what you have, cash skills, asking for more, closes with every extra dollar. Feed the account. Chapter 3, real numbers for real situations. 3 full scenarios with tables and bar charts. The same move, different comma, table, built out at every level from 100 to 10 to 100,000. Chapter 4, credit bureaus, free reports, score range table, both dispute letters. Chapter 5, debt, real cost table, avalanche versus snowball, real consolidation, HELOCs, fake settlement programs called out. Chapter 6, generational wealth, life insurance, beneficiaries, wills, trusts, teaching kids early, retirement accounts, full timeline table. Chapter 7, charts and visuals, 6 full charts proving every point. Closes with the generational wealth checklist with check boxes. Closing. This was always yours. No blank pages, clean throughout. Ready to merge with part 1. So that was Claude's response, and that's the part 2 of it here. So let me go back to Claude now. To chat and continue. So chat says this is actually a strong part 4 because now the series becomes bigger than just the book. Now it becomes how I think through ideas, use AI, compare responses, refine the product, and turn the final result into something real. That's valuable information. That's valuable because people are not just watching you sell Gangsternomics. They are watching your creative process. And the phrase you just said is the hook Three minds are always better than one. That line is strong. You are not saying AI replaced you. You're saying, I had the idea. Claude, Claude gave one angle. ChatGPT gave another angle. Then I made the final decision. That makes you look like the operator, not someone just letting AI do everything. Part 4 angle. This video should be framed as how I use AI to sharpen my ideas, not replace my thinking, because that protects the value of the book and it shows people the real power of AI. You can say in one of those videos, I mentioned I use ChatGPT too. So in this part, I'm going to show you how to go back and forth between Claude and ChatGPT to compare ideas. I don't just take the first answer and run with it. I use both of them like two different minds at the table. Claude may catch one thing, Chat may catch another thing. Then I decide what actually belongs in the book. That's the part people miss. AI does not replace the creator. AI helps the creator think faster, organize better, and see what might be missing. This is a clean setup. What part 4 should show? The sequence should be what you told Claude. Show that you gave Claude the backstory, why you created Gangsternomics, how you wish someone had taught you money fundamentals early, and how this information should be taught from preschool through 12th grade. What Claude recommended. Claude caught the missing areas: credit, debt, income, expansion, generational wealth mechanics, real numbers, and visuals. What you clarified, you corrected the direction and explained that the biggest missing idea was not just credit or debt. It was the simple move of dropping money into the right vehicle, leaving it alone and adding whenever you can. What I recommended, I agreed that the true unlock was the drop in and leave it alone idea. And the part 2 should not just become a credit debt repair section. The strongest structure is you don't even have to do all that. Income expansion, real numbers, credit, debt, generational wealth mechanics, charts, and a closing. Your final decision. This is the most important part, you say. After going back and forth with both of them, I decided what actually belonged in the book. That positions you as the author and strategist. Script opening for part 4. Use this. This is part 4 of the Gangsternomics build out. In one of the earlier videos, I mentioned that I don't just use AI. I use Claude, I use ChatGPT, and then I use my own mind to decide what actually makes sense. Because three minds are always better than one, especially when one of those minds is the person who actually lived the story. So in this video, I'm going to show you what I told Claude, what Claude recommended, what I brought back to ChatGPT, and how I use both responses to sharpen Gangsternomics into a better book. Strong middle line. This should be the video. The book did not come from AI. The book came from my life, my experience, my regrets, my observations, and the money game nobody explained to us early enough. AI helped organize it. AI helped challenge it. AI helped sharpen it. But the message came from me. That line matters. Call to action ending. Keep it simple. This is why I created Gangsternomics, the final blueprint. If nobody ever taught you the money game, the link is in the description. Get the book, read it, give it to somebody younger than you. Because one conversation can change the way somebody looks at money for the rest of their life. Caption for chapter 4. Part 4 of the Gangsternomics build out. I use Claude. I use ChatGPT. Then I use my own mind to decide what belongs. AI does not replace the creator. It sharpens the creator. Gangsternomics came from real life. AI helped organize the game. Link in bio description. Important point. This video also quietly sells Prompt Plug. Not directly yet, but anybody watching this series will understand. Damn, The way you talk to AI matters. That is exactly the bridge to the prompt plug later. For now, keep the CTA on Gangsternomics. Later, you can make a separate video. This is why prompts matter. Gangsternomics is proof. Then that video points to the prompt plug. Just so you know, I will be reading this on camera, every word you just said. So all of this will be heard and seen. Chat says, good. Then let me tighten it so it reads clean on camera. Use this version. This is part 4 of the Gangsternomics build out. In one of the earlier videos, I mentioned that I don't use one AI tool. I use Claude, I use ChatGPT. Then I use my own mind and my own life experience to decide what actually belongs in the book. Because 3 minds are always better than one, basically it's the entire conversation that you just heard. And so I'm reading it and I'm laughing to myself. I'm like, I'm basically just saying the same thing all over again. Chat was just like, here, let me put it in order where everything flows. I don't want to read all that extra. It's basically the exact word for word. And so I tell Chat, I says, I'm laughing because I am repeating the same thing. I actually should be doing this in real time, which made me, so right now, this is real time. This is real live from this point right here. And I'm gonna show it to you. Can you read it? I am laughing because I am repeating the same thing. I actually should be doing this in real time. Exactly. That's why I feel funny, because right now you were repeating the recap of the process when the real content is the process happening live. That may actually be the best adjustment. Instead of reading what I said like a finished script, make part 4 feel live. Make it, okay, I'm talking to ChatGPT right now, and I already talked to Claude. Now I'm going to compare what both of them said and decide what actually belongs in Gangsternomics. So I hope you guys got that. And y'all can see I'm kind of new at all this, but this is way more interesting than only reading the polished summary. The better part of part 4 format, start recording and say, I'm laughing because I realize I keep repeating the same thing. But the real value is not me repeating it after the fact. The real value is showing it as it's happening. So I'm doing this part in real time. I already gave Claude the idea. Claude gave me recommendations. Now I'm bringing the conversation to Chat to compare the ideas, sharpen the direction, and decide what actually goes into Gangsternomics. Then you can read pieces of Claude's response, then read my response, then talk through your own reaction. That makes the video feel like real-time product development, real-time AI comparison, real-time author decision-making. That's stronger. The structure for the video, do it like this. Opening. This is part 4. I'm doing this one in real time. Then here's what I told Claude. Read your prompt. Then here's what Claude caught. Read the parts, credit, debt, income expansion, generation, wealth, real numbers, charts. Then here's what I corrected. Here's where I corrected the direction. Talk about how the real missing piece was you don't even have to do all that. Drop something in, leave it alone, add whenever you can. And even if you never touch it again, time can still work. Then now I brought it to Chat to see how it would structure it. Read my structure. Then your own conclusion. This is how I use AI. I don't just take the first answer. I compare, I think, I correct, I refine, then I decide. That is the punch. The main line, use this. AI is not replacing my mind. It is helping me hear my own thoughts clear. That line is real. Closing CTA. This whole process is how Gangsternomics is being built. If nobody ever gave you the money game, the link is in the description. Get the book. That's it. You're right. Doing it in real time makes it more authentic, less rehearsed, and more valuable to watch. So that was the end of that conversation. So this is live right now, so I'm gonna end this. Damn, 41 minutes. Cut.